The following program is brought to you by PodcastOne Sportsnet.
This episode of the Steve Austin Show is sponsored in part by DDP Yoga. Working countless matches over the years, ain't no surprise that my body has taken its share of bumps and bruises. Well, my buddy Diamond Dallas Page knows all about the wear and tear the ring takes on your body, and his DDP Yoga fitness system was specifically designed to burn fat, reduce pain, and heal from injuries. Dallas is so positive that you'll absolutely love the DDPY program and using the DDPY app that he's doing something he ain't never done before. He's going to give you 7 days free to try it out. That's a week to try the program, explore the app, and own your life, and it's completely free. The DDP Yoga Now app has everything. It tracks your weight, all your workouts, how many calories you burn, and Dallas himself sets you up for weekly success by giving you an easy schedule to follow that includes his tips for success. If you're more old school and you prefer DVDs over the DDPY app, they got DVDs. But when you buy the DVDs, you still receive 3 months free on the DDPY app to try it out. Just for listeners of the Steve Austin Show, you can save 20% off an annual membership for the DDP Yoga Now app off any DVD pack. Just go to ddpyoga.com/Austin to get started. And don't forget to take advantage of the free 7-day trial on the DDPY app so you can see for yourself everything this app has to offer. You'll be amazed how much better you'll feel after only 7 days with the program. So what are you doing? Stop wasting time and download the DDP Yoga Now app and make this year the year you get serious about your health and get fit. Let DDP Yoga Now help you set your goals, take control, and own your life.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production. From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the state of Nevada, out here visiting in-laws with my nephew and my nieces, raising hell, having a good time. Holy cow, man. It's been beautiful weather out here so far. Sunny skies, moderate temperatures, and we've been able to get out there in my Ford Bronco, go four-wheel driving on the BLM land, fixing to load up the Kawasaki Mule Pro FXT and get everybody out there for a ride. I got my Kawasaki Brute Force 750. I'm fixing to take that thing and tear ass out there. So we're having a good time out there. And then later on today, heading into Carson City, do a little bit of antique shopping. Going to hit a couple of shops, see if I can dig up, try to track down some old neon clocks or some signage or some stuff like that. And I got one little sign located I'm fixing to go make a score on right now. But anyway, hey, man, welcome to the show. Obviously, I'm on vacation, having a good time, kicking it up before I have to head back to the mean streets of Los Angeles and get ready to do some business. As I've been talking about, I've been putting my notes together, getting ready for Dr. D, David Schultz, to come on the podcast, along with Lane Johnson and a couple other guys. And I tell you what, it's been interesting to watch as the road to WrestleMania continues. Got a chance to try to watch a little bit of that pay-per-view last night. Man, the guys turned in a hell of an effort on that main event. Lots of stuff going on, and it's going to be an interesting ride as we get in the nearing weeks to see what goes down at WrestleMania there in New Orleans. I will be there. I'm making 2 appearances for WrestleCon. I'm making one on Sunday, right before WrestleMania itself. That appearance will start at 9 a.m. in the morning, and the Saturday appearance, I don't have all the details on, but you can go to WrestleCon.com and probably find out when I'll be appearing. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody and saying hello. Probably be the only 2 appearances I make this year, and that's the bottom line. Hey, man, I told you guys last week I've been reading that book, Crazy Like a Fox, about Brian Pillman, 20 years after his death, and I've been just so enamored with that promo that he cut in 1996 there at the ECW Arena. Just blows everybody away, and I call Vince Russo a guy I've known for a long time and always enjoy talking to Vince, getting his opinion. And so, man, we shoot the breeze. We start off talking about, the business at hand that happened that night in ECW in Philly. And then we kind of go on to talk about the current scene. So my guest today on the show is Vince Russo. And I'm not going to flap my gums too long. I got people over here, and I'm going to go get out there and do my thing while I got a few days left on my vacation. But before I get to my interview with Vince Russo, let me get you up on keeping your family safe at home and on the go with ADT. Same system I use. Get yourself an ADT starter kit and security camera installed free. That's a $449 savings. Plus, you'll get ADT Go, the new family mobile safety app, and service with 24/7 emergency response. Just go to ADT.com/podcast today to take advantage of ADT's best offer, included with 36-month monitoring contract, Easy Pay, and QSP. Early termination and activation fees apply. Additional charge for ADT Go premium services after 3/31/18. Certain markets excluded. Licenses excluded. Licenses available at ADT.com. Offer ends April 1st.
Hey everyone, I'm Wade Keller, and it's WrestleMania season. So be sure to subscribe to the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Podcast here at PodcastOne. I produce 2 new shows each week. Every Thursday on our flagship show, I'm joined by a co-host from the wrestling journalism field to talk about the hot topics in WWE and elsewhere. Every Friday, I'm joined by a guest who has worked in the wrestling business, including ex-WWE creative team members like Kevin Eck, talking about Drew McIntyre.
Drew was a young guy, and did it go to his head, and did he walk around like he was the chosen one? He did, and I was frank with him, and I said, Drew, just so you know, this is how they view you.
And Podcast One's own Christian Harloff, talking about his days working for WWE and Vince McMahon specifically.
As far as the perception of him, I mean, he's the king. He walks in, and it's just, you can feel it. I mean, if the Force was real, you would feel the Force powering into the room when he enters.
And pro wrestlers, including NWA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Aldis, also known as Magnus, talking about the challenges facing Ronda Rousey as she transitions from MMA to WWE.
I'm sure if you ask Ronda, she'd probably say that this moment is the result of hundreds of people's work, meticulous preparation and planning and timing and everything, and now suddenly it's like, go! And that can be very overwhelming.
Just search Wade Keller on Apple Podcasts or on the Podcast One app or anywhere else you listen to podcasts.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
Hi, Vince Roller Sound. Good morning. How are you?
All right, man. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. I got a chance to do your radio show last night. And, man, like I said, I called you earlier today. Man, I apologize. I was so dead dog tired when we were talking. I was stumbling. I couldn't pronounce my sentences. I could slurring my words. I just hadn't slept in a couple of days. We went on a monster hike. I went full-wheel driving. I'm hanging out with my nephew and my nieces, and they're just crushing me. So, again, I just want to shoot the breeze with you because as we were talking last night, we started talking a little bit about the Ronda Rousey coming into the WWE, and we started talking about, you asked me about, one of the keys to getting over, and we were talking about promos, and you said, Steve, it really isn't what you say, and it's how you say it, and I agree. So I called you up this morning because I just wanted to talk to you about a very important promo that happened in 1996. And I just started going back and watching this old stuff because right now I'm in the middle of reading a book about Brian Pillman. It's called Crazy Like a Fox, written by Lem O'Rourke. And I started kind of the back half of the book when I came into the picture and finished it, and it was outstanding. So now I'm starting on the first half. And so I started going back and just kind of watching some of these old promos that Brian did. And, dude, back in the day, when we were on the road, because I asked you to watch this video twice so you would get different levels of it, and you had never seen it before. And back in the day, I don't really remember seeing it either because, first off, you didn't know what channel ECW was on. Also, with the technology being back then with the video recorders, dude, it was hard to set a timer back in. It was the Stone Ages. So I went back and I probably watched that promo almost 10 times now and always get something different away from it. But I know that when Brian Pillman finally made his way into the WWF, I guess at the time, you were kind of on board, and I guess you were doing some of the stuff with him, Goldust, and Marlena. But I wanted to take you back, and I wanted to get your opinion, and I know, you're probably not into the language he was using now in your life as he was back then, but give me your thoughts on that promo as far as the message that he delivered and as far as your takeaway from what he got over in that promo, and in my opinion, why it was so effective, or if your opinion was that it wasn't effective, I'd like to hear you break down what you took away from that promo because, dude, you like me are a promo guy, and you're a field guy, so give me your thoughts.
Steve, I don't know. I just want to sidetrack for a little bit because I don't know if you know this, but I want to lay this out to you. When I went from when Jeff Jarrett started TNA in 2002, okay, the Attitude Era was the Attitude Era, but at around 2002, probably at around 2000, you could see it kind of knocking off. Okay. My whole goal first of all, I started in WCW because let me tell you something. When I went from WWE to WCW in October of 1999, I got to tell you, Steve, I knew in my heart of hearts, I did all I possibly could do from a writing aspect at the WWE. I knew there was like nowhere else to go. So when I went to WCW in 1999, my goal was to further the evolution of professional wrestling. Okay, I wanted to go forward from the Attitude Era. What was next after the Attitude Era? We did some things at WCW, but unfortunately, things didn't work out there. Never really got to do what I wanted to do. But in 2002, Jeff started TNA. Steve, I don't know if you know this or not, but we wanted to take that Attitude Era to the next level. And here's how we did this. Steve, this was a total shoot. I was the heel, and I would show up at the building and hit the ring. Bro, nobody ever knew when I was going to show up and hit the ring. This is how it works, Steve. They would be doing their show, okay? I would drive up once the show was starting. I would be at the back doors. The only ones who knew we were doing this was Jeff and the Harris boys because they had to let me in. So now, Steve, I would walk in that arena. Nobody, and bro, we did this for a while. Nobody in the roster in that locker room knew Vince Russo was even there. So now, we get in that ring. This is a 100% improv. I did not see these guys before the show. Nothing was discussed. Whatever was going to happen, happened. And I got to tell you, bro, the best one, the one guy who went toe-to-toe with me improv-wise was Mike Tenay. Mike Tenay was phenomenal. Bro, the rest of the guys didn't know what the frig to do. And Steve, it was so funny because there was one instance, bro, and I'm just telling you this because nobody knows about this. Nobody saw those early days at TNA because you had to pay. Bro, this was the most creative I ever was. The best. This was better than the Attitude Era for me. A couple of things that happened, Steve, because I think you'll find this fascinating is, so one day I go in there, I think the Truth was in the ring. So, bro, I'm in there and the Truth starts play fighting wrestling. And I was like, the old Steve Austin, with everything I had, Steve, like adrenaline, I grabbed Truth and literally, bro, slammed him to the floor. With everything I had. And it was like, holy shit. Then, ring fills up. The Harris brothers are trying to subdue me. And they're doing it playing wrestling. Bro, I'm fighting off Ronnie and Donnie. Okay. I swear to you, Steve, one of them, this is the first time this ever happened to me, literally put me in a chokehold. I blacked out, bro. I blacked out. I mean, this is all a freaking shoot. So, bro, they carry me. The Harris boys literally drag me out of the building, and I'm fighting them the whole way, bro. And, bro, I go out there, and all of a sudden somebody runs around. I forget who it was, and they said to me, bro, you better get your ass out of here because Ron Killings is looking for you, and he's going to kill you. This is all an absolute shoot. Now, Steve, here's the best story, and it kills me that nobody talks about this shit. This was better than the Attitude Era, bro. Steve, this was the greatest moment, okay? I'm in the back now. I'm waiting to go in the arena. Nobody knows I was there, okay? Steve, all of a sudden, I hear Rowdy Piper's bagpipes. Jeff worked me and didn't tell me Piper was going to be on the show. This is all 100% shoot. So now I'm standing out there. I hear Piper, and I'm like saying, that son of a bitch, meaning Jeff. He didn't tell me this. Steve, this is 100% shoot. So Piper's in there, and he's cutting his promo. Bro, he doesn't know I'm even in the state of Tennessee. Okay? Bro, all of a sudden, Piper starts cutting this promo of how Vince Russo killed Owen Hart. And I'm on the outside listening to this. Steve, he's going on and on and on. And I was getting so upset outside. I was finally, man, the only person that's going to shut this guy up is freaking me. So, bro, Pipe is working, the far side of the ring. His back's towards where I walk in. Bro, I walk in that building and sit myself right in the freaking corner. He turns around and sees me. Bro, he doesn't even know I'm in the state of Tennessee,
Now
Steve.
there's an arena full of people, right?
Full of people.
Okay, when you took Ron down, there was people in the building, right?
Yeah, full of people.
Y'all were running TV.
Yes.
So why did you take Ron down?
What do you mean? Oh, Ron Killings?
Yeah.
Because I wanted this to be real.
Okay.
I wanted this to be freaking real. I wanted people to say, wait, did Russo just legitimately take Ron Killings down? Because, bro, if it were written, I would not have taken Ron Killings down.
Okay, but now that Piper's got the stick and he's talking about you were the reason that Owen died. Now, did they put him up to that? Because why would he cover that subject matter if he didn't know you were there?
Not because he was wearing the shirt of all the wrestlers who died. Remember, Piper was doing that for a while, and I was on the show at the time, but he did not know I was at the building. I did not know he was at the building.
Okay, so he turns around, you're in the corner. What happens?
I'm right there, bro. He looks at me. I look at him. Steve, I swear to you, as a shoot, I'm saying to myself, I don't know if he's going to kill me. I don't know what the frig he's going to do. And my first thought was, and this is what's going through my head, this is all 100% shoot. My first thought was the only chance I'll have is if I just freaking charge him and take him down at the waist. That was the only shot I have. But, bro, you know what's going through my mind? I just got done with the Hulk Hogan lawsuit. And I'm like, I do not want any kind of lawsuits or anything against me. So
what was the Hogan lawsuit?
Hogan sued me for defamation of character because I cut a promo on him he said he knew nothing about. I got dragged through court and depositions and all that crap for the first time in my life. I'd never been through that before. I didn't want to go through anything like that again.
I never knew that happened.
Oh, yeah, bro. So now I'm in the corner and I'm saying to myself, my first thought is I'm going to charge him and take him down. It's the only chance I have before he kills me. Then I said, wait a minute, bro. I don't need any lawsuits. I don't need any. I don't want. So now I'm like, okay, stand your ground and see what he does. Okay. So, bro, I stand my ground. He turns around and the look on his face. I mean, bro, literally, he had no idea. So now Piper starts walking towards me and he's freaking cutting a promo on me. Okay, bro? Bro, as a shoot, he starts paintbrushing me. And it was just at the point where I had to do something. I had to do something. And bro, Ron and Don came flying out of the back and got between us. Okay? But my point is, that's where wrestling should have gone. Wrestling should have gone to the next step where a lot of it was improvised. You did not know what was going to happen next. The players didn't know what was going to happen next. Everybody would have had to be at the top of their game. That's what I was working towards. Unfortunately, bro, it went the other way. It has totally gone the other way where you watch it now and you're like, come on, bro. How do you expect me to believe this? Go to the Brian Pillman promo. I wrote down some notes, some very interesting things because they did a phenomenal job. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from ECW. They did a phenomenal job, but there were things I felt they could have done to make it look more like a shoot. I mean, there were little things and I was like, stuff like that. First of all, I got to say this. We talked about on my show yesterday, intensity. Steve, when I saw Stunning Steve Austin on WCW, I was a fan of Stunning Steve Austin. The intensity was there. You could see the intensity. The intensity was there. Of course, when we got to Stone Cold, we were magnified a million times over. But, bro, you look at flying Brian Pillman in his little Bengal trunks. you would have never in a million years thought that this guy was inside. Never. As a writer and as a producer, in my wildest dreams, I would have never thought that this persona of Brian Pillman existed. Something had to happen, bro. I don't know, personally or professionally, something had to snap in here, because, bro, he literally went from flying Brian Pillman to a totally different person. I don't know what was going on in his life at the time. You were there, bro. How did that transition happen, first of all?
Well, it was interesting because, about sometime mid-1995, I got a phone call. They'd splitting us up. Just come back from my tour in Japan. I tore the tricep off my arm. Got the call from Eric that I was fired. And so, man, I was gone. And so Pillman was still there. Then, the first guy that calls me is Paulie Dangerously. So I go down to ECW, and then I kind of start messing around, and I cut that one long promo just sitting there in the locker room, with all the guys kind of in the background, and they started cheering me when I finished. And, I was there for literally a few months, and then I was on to then WWF in late 95, going to do the Ringmaster thing. And Brian was trying to figure out a way to, first of all, I never wanted to be a tag team. And then we became a tag team. We became very successful. Then they wanted to split us up. We didn't want to be split up, but the powers that be, man, that's what you do. You got to get split up. And so, anyway, I think, from reading the book, Brian knew that he had the kids at the house. That was always at the forefront of his mind, being able to take care of the kids and pay all the bills. And he knew, his contract was coming up. He's trying to find a way to increase his value. All the guys were there that were in place, power positions. Eric Bischoff was running the show. He started studying people like, Bruiser Brody, Terry Funk, some of the wide-eyed mannerisms and just, cadence, delivery, stuff like that. I believe he studied a few other guys. I think he was reading, about a few serial killers and reading different books about, old guys that came from the carnival days and, the art of the work. And so him, along with his, the guy who used to be the strength coach for the Cincinnati Bengals, Kim Wood, I know he'd spitball some ideas with him. And, someone coined the phrase, was it Eric Bischoff or Bobby the Brain? Someone actually called him a loose cannon. So that's when the name came about. And I know that, back in the day, he used to call Dave Meltzer a lot, and they were very good friends. And, Brian was a super smart guy. And so there at the NAPTE convention that one night, that one day, wherever it was in Las Vegas, and he goes up and starts taking pictures with Vince and taking pictures of Vince. And right before he leaves, he's making this big, loud, production about it. Totally just crashes the party. And he goes to shake Jim Ross's hand, and he gets in his ear and he goes, "It's a work." So he went out and, Jim relays the message to Vince because Vince doesn't know what's going on. And Jim says to Vince, "You just been worked." And that's kind of what got, Vince's ideas as far as going as what kind of guy this guy was. But what he was doing was in creating this loose cannon character and just going further and further out there and then doing the Booker Man thing when he was taking on Kevin Sullivan at that one pay-per-view event and able to, I guess, basically extricate himself from his WCW contract. I don't know where it was in his head because, once you leave a territory and all of a sudden you get on a singles roll, you're embarking on a different journey and you've got the blinders on. I had the blinders on, trying to do the Ringmaster thing. And then the Stone Cold thing, I was starting to really get traction when he first came in. He'd already dropped that bomb in ECW. So I don't know exactly where he was at. And, just with respect to at a personal level, at a marital level, at a, drug use level or what. But obviously, and as we rode down the road, me, him, and Raven, he was in the back reading vocabulary books, trying to increase his vocabulary. So he was one of the smartest guys in the locker room to begin with, and he was a guy that put the work in. But when he strung his promo together, let's talk about this promo now. I've answered your question. I don't know exactly where he was at because I was doing my thing. As far as the effectiveness of this promo, everybody knew he got fired or whatever happened. and he starts playing to him, and they're taking him as the baby face, and he gives him that pause in the beginning to let him cheer after he calls Bischoff the jerk off, and then he starts roping him in, and then he's about to just crap all over him, and the crowd tries to take the interview over by doing the chant. That doesn't work. He keeps the voice low, and then he just puts the hammer down, and he gets over the fact that he's Brian effing Pillman, and in one promo, he's over. So give me your thoughts then on the promo about what you thought ECW could have done, the things or the holes that you saw in the presentation.
Well, it's funny, Steve, because the holes were really, there were no holes attributed to Pillman. None. It was around Pillman that there were holes. There were no Pillman holes. Steve, to think that this freaking promo was 22 years ago. And again, I don't want to beat up wrestling in 2018. But when I see that this was 22 years ago, and then I see today's promos, I'm just like, what happened? It should have been an evolution of this.
I agree with you 100%.
Steve, I say it all the time, bro, and I don't want to pick on him. I don't want to pick on him, and a lot of it has to do with the writing. But, in 2018, the only guy that you can kind of, compare to Brian Pillman is freaking Dean Ambrose. And every time I see Dean, I'm like, okay, bro, he's trying to be Brian Pillman. And, bro, it's painful. I mean, it's painful. There's nothing natural. There's nothing believable. Everything comes across very forced. You could be in the business for 25 years, and when Pillman starts cutting his promo, just the facials, bro, he doesn't even have to say a word. Let him be a mime. The facials, you could be in the business for 30 years like me, and you're thinking immediately, this guy's effing nuts. Like there literally is wrong with somebody, because, bro, here's what you're saying. If this guy were that good, he'd be in Hollywood somewhere. Okay, he'd be a leading man making millions of dollars a picture. No wrestler could be that good. So the first thing you're thinking of is something's really off about this guy. But it's like you said, bro, the facials, the cadence, the levels of voice, the choice of words. I mean, bro, when you tell me, I mean, this blows my mind, because you're telling me for the first time, the guy is sitting in the back of a car reading a vocabulary book. That's not happening today. I can tell you right now, bro, Dean Ambrose is not reading a vocabulary book. Okay, it's not happening. So, there is that. This guy's too good to be working, because he can't be that good. There were a couple of little things where the supporting players killed it. Okay, and if they would have thought these things out a little bit more, it would have been dynamite, especially one particular thing. I think the first thing that happened was Todd Gordon.
You can't. That wasn't part of the deal, brother. Was a killer for me.
But then not only that wasn't part of the deal, brother, bro, but then he said on mic, security, get this guy the hell out of here. You would never say that on mic. The fact that he got the mic and said, security, get this guy the hell out of here, like that was number one. That killed it for me.
But the brother, just the use of the word brother in a moment like this just does not fly.
Here was the second thing,
That's Russell speak.
Yeah, here's a second thing, bro, I wish they would have done. I know why they didn't do it. I know every wrestling excuse in the book. I see it. I know why they didn't do it, but I would have done it this way. The one red-haired kid, bro, a couple of things here. Here's the one mistake I think Pillman might have made. First of all, bro, I would have had the guy clock him. I would have had the guy freaking hit him, not the clothesline miss.
It was the bad working punch miss, ass over tea kettle onto the cement.
I would have had the guy nail him. That would have been a holy shit moment.
Yeah.
And I think Pillman would have said the same thing. I think Pillman would have said, let the guy hit me. Okay, pulls him over the rail. This is the one flaw Pillman had, I think, in the whole thing, rolling the guy in the ring. The minute he put the guy in the ring, now it's the work so everybody could see, I would have did whatever he did to the guy on the outside of the ring. Okay, bro, Shane Douglas, who I love to death. But even when I work with them when I worked with Shane Douglas at WCW, we were in a feud with Flair. So I was with Shane. We'd be cutting the promo, in the ring. And then Flair would come out to the stage and, there was Shane's facials like he just saw a ghost. This thing. And I used to look at Shane. I used to like, bro, what the hell are you doing? We're cutting a promo on Flair. Flair's going to come out. There's the two of us out here. Are we really afraid of Ric Flair? Like Flair would come out, I'd start laughing at him. And Shane was selling it like he saw a ghost. Shane did two things here, bro, that were wrestling. The first thing was, you better get that piece of shit out of here, blah, 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 or else I'll kick his ass tonight. You wouldn't say that, bro. The second thing that really killed it for me, bro, was when he throws the mark in the ring and he's getting heat on him. Shane slides in and makes the save. Pillman powders. Shane goes after him, and of course the imaginary wall, the ropes, stop Shane Douglas. Bro, he should have went after Pillman. He should have got on Pillman. So I mean, there were little things like that. When I watch it back, I'm like, they could have done a couple of things. But Pillman's performance.
That's basically what I'm talking about, is Pillman's performance.
Forget it.
Because when you watch what he does after the promo, when he says he's going to yank his Johnson out and piss right in the middle of this hellhole, and here comes the whole, the posse, and they stop him. And so Pillman's kind of over there, he's in a corner. He's caged up. There's the referee. He knows the referee's not going to offer any offense, so he shoves him. Then Shane steps in. He immediately cowers back. Right. So there were certain elements of being the heel there, and then, putting his hands behind his back, kneeling down, or just going down in that corner, squatting. There were just so many instinctual things that someone in that state of mind would do that he did. Yeah, the same thing. I agree about the red-headed kid, because that was obviously a worked. But, the thing to do on that would have managed to take the shot, yank that son of a bitch down by the apron, just put the boots to him, end of story. Because when you go into the pocket and you introduce the gimmick and hold it up into the air, that's wrestling. But as far as the performance, as far as the delivery of the words, as far as the intensity, and how soft-spoken he was, and talking about Joey, I like you as an announcer. Starts patronizing him, and then he goes into the Eric Bischoff spill just to set up. And then, when he says the line about, what a mark is, it was reason number 2. A mark is a guy that believes that OJ didn't do it. There was that pause, and then the cadence that he hit the didn't do it. And it's like, Jesus Christ, he really said that? And it's a shoot. And then, he really just ate that crowd's ass and just called him a effing piece of shit. And so it was such an effective promo from a delivery standpoint. And then you could say, oh, you can never do that now. Well, no shit, you can't do it now. But you could do it then, and he did, and that's the point. And it's like people say, hey, man, could a Stone Cold work in today's family-friendly era? You're damn right it could. It's all about intensity. But going back here, in this day, to go out there and have the balls cut that promo, dude, absolutely vicious.
Well, Steve, a couple of things. I just want to take a note about you saying you can't do it now, because I want to tell you something about that. Can't do it now.
No, as far as language, that's all I mean.
Yeah. Well, but even that type of scenario, I don't think that type of scenario would take place today. Take the language out of it. Here was the brilliant part to me, bro. The brilliant part to me. I do a show, Steve, every week called Castrating the Marks. And I take all the dirt sheet writers and I take sound bites from them. Okay, so I take their own words, Meltzer, Keller, all these guys, Johnson, all these guys, and I play them on my show. So you'll hear, no, these guys really said that. And then I'll just rip them to pieces. Okay. So that's why this had a soft spot for me when he turns on the crowd, and there's that split second now. Okay. We're the smart marks. He just turned on us by calling us smart marks. We don't know what to do. Okay, bro, this was freaking brilliant. So what do? They start pointing to the sign. Pillman, don't work us. Don't work us, Pillman. Don't work us, Pillman. And he turns around and says, basically, see, I told you were smart, Marks. They were doing exactly what he was accusing them of, bro, which was absolutely brilliant. And once he called them out on the sign, bro, you could look at them in that now they're pissed at him. Now the smart marks are legitimately not becoming a part of the show pissed. They're legitimately pissed. Bro, I got to tell you something, Steve. 99.9% of the wrestlers, especially today, put in that same exact spot would not have known how to react. That was not planned. He had to know because now the smart marks were turning on him because they were pissed. He had to know how to freaking embarrass them. And he did it like that. I don't see anybody today that would have been able to do that.
But when it says, what is a smart mark? A mark with a high IQ? And that's when they started pointing that sign. He goes, okay. Smart. Mark. That's such a condescending tone.
And bro, look at their faces. They got so pissed off because all of a sudden it was like, yeah, bro, we are smart marks. You know what I mean? It was brilliant, bro. Brilliant.
All right, let's take a quick pause for the calls and get big ups to TrueCar. Here are some useful tips you might not be aware of. A coffee filter and a little bit of olive oil can clean your interior. Removing excess weight from your car will improve gas mileage. Placing your key fob to your chin will increase its range. You ready for one more tip you might not know about? TrueCar also helps people get used cars. That's right. TrueCar ain't just for buying new cars. With their certified dealer network and nationwide inventory of nearly 1 million used cars, you'll enjoy real pricing on actual inventory and a simpler buying experience whether you buy new or used. And with TrueCar, users can see what others paid so they know if they're getting a good deal before buying. They're also more likely to enjoy a faster buying experience by connecting with TrueCar certified dealers. When you're ready to buy a new or used car, check out TrueCar and enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Some features not available in all states. You're also going to need car insurance for that new vehicle. Go to geico.com, and in 15 minutes you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance. That's right, save hundreds of dollars in car insurance at geico.com. Extra money in your pocket? It may just be the most rewarding thing you do today.
Get ready for Legends of Sport with Andrew D. Bernstein. The Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame photographer has hit the podcasting scene. Each Tuesday starting February 27th, Andy and co-host Jonas Wadler will chat with some of the world's most prestigious athletes of all time. Enjoy stories from life behind the scenes with the most decorated sports photographer in the business. Make sure to subscribe to Legends of Sport with Andrew D. Bernstein, beginning Tuesday, February 27th, exclusively on Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne.com, and the brand new Podcast One app.
Hey man, have you ever felt uncomfortable on a job site? Like if you're a pro wrestler and you're in the ring waiting for a beer so you can raise some hell and they toss you a root beer instead. Or if you're out there stomping a mud hole and walking it dry and somebody shows up and sprays a bunch of milk at you. It's this kind of stuff that happens on a job site. Work can be, well, uncomfortable. So at least get work gear that is comfortable. Timberland Pro makes shirts, pants, and boots for all kinds of jobs and weather, so you can do your best work day in and day out. Head to toe Timberland Pro, not uncomfortable.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
Here's what I talk about not being able to do it today. The reason why I brought up the show, my show, Castrating the Marks, is because, Steve, I am so misunderstood because I really criticize today's brand of wrestling. But the reason why I do it, bro, is for a good reason, but they're not hearing this part of it. And I'm trying to explain them over and over and over. They're doing all this flip-flop and flying. The match has become the most important thing. There's no characters. There's no storylines. The match has become the most important thing. Getting the This Is Awesome chant has become the most important thing. Psychology has been taken out of wrestling matches. Nobody's selling. My whole point is, because I've been around the block enough, I've seen guys like you seriously injured. I've seen hundreds of injuries. As a professional wrestler, bro, you have a window to make money. That's it. You have a window. This isn't a 20, 30-year career. You have a window. What I'm trying to tell these guys is, bro, be safe. It's a work. You want to extend your career. You do not want to be out of the wrestling business at 28, 30, 32 because you did something unnecessary in the ring that you didn't need to do because it's a work. Guys, it's a work. Prolong your careers. The longer you can do this, the more money you can make. They don't want to hear that, bro. They don't want to hear. And I say this all the time, Steve. We see what happened with the concussions and the WWE. After so many concussions and then all these guys get together, okay, well, now maybe we need to stop the chair shots and we need to look at the way we do this. I hate to say this, Steve. It's going to take somebody winding up in a wheelchair for the WWE to say, okay, wait a minute, maybe we need to look at the way we're working. And that's what's going to happen. I mean, we already see Paige's career has ended. I'm telling you, Sasha's the next one. I mean, the stuff she does in that ring, she almost broke her neck on live TV a month ago. Somebody's going to get seriously injured, and then it's going to be, wait a minute, this is a work. We need to look at the way we're working. But my point is, have you heard about this big all-in show that they're putting together, like all the indie guys, the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes and all the guys on the indie scene? They booked a big arena in Chicago and they've called it All In. And it's like every smart mark in the world is going to appear at this thing. You know, it's all Meltzer's talking about. It's that style of wrestling. Okay. I'm sitting back here and I'm saying to myself, first of all, I am the number one guy who goes on air every single day and lambast this style of wrestling. I make fun of the marks. I rip the marks apart. Bro, you want to freaking draw? You want to do this the right way? Have Vince Russo on that show cut a promo on your wrestlers and your audience. You want to create controversy. You want something people will talk about. But here's the sad thing, Stephen. It goes back to this Pillman interview. People don't even think that way anymore. They don't even think, controversy, buzz, what will get people talking. They don't even, like, what's up, Russo showing up at a Smart Mark event. They don't even think that way. It's all about the 5-star match. And bro, I am sorry. I will watch a Pillman interview like this all day long. Once you've seen every 5-star match, what are they going to do that we haven't already seen?
Man, I was watching two guys, high-level guys from New Japan the other day on a recent episode. And man, the whole time I'm thinking, I said, man, these guys, late 20s, early 30s, man, they're going to have some cervical issues here real quick. And it's just, with respect to the WWE stuff, there was a pay-per-view a month ago. It wasn't that great of a pay-per-view, but one of the matches I enjoyed the most was one of the least favorably received matches on the card. It was the match between Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy doing the Woken gimmick after whatever he's been doing, the Broken. I guess they couldn't get it, whatever, trademarked by TNA, whatever. But I give Matt Hardy so much credit for working his ass off, all those ladder matches, all those TLC matches that those guys had in the WWE, and him just as, and him and Jeff as just a tag team. And man, had some great tag matches with Bubba Ray Dudley, Devon Dudley, Edge and Christian. And those guys, that ladder match, whatever it was, at WrestleMania 17 was absolutely spectacular. But for a guy to go from the action-based career that he had to finally go to TNA and invent that Broken character, and then now, after, he had that run, those guys go belly up or whatever the hell happened with him, he ends up back in the WWE. He's got that silver streak through his hair. I don't know how old Matt Hardy is. 37? Is he 40? But dude, he's so committed to that character. And I didn't like the way they had been booking Bray Wyatt as of late. But nonetheless, I enjoyed him in this match because it was two gimmick guys. It was two character-based guys. So a lot of people crapped on the match. But as a fan, and because I want to see more character development, I enjoyed the shit out of that match. And here's the thing. Going back to your thoughts as far as being a mechanic in the ring and cranking out all these high-star matches, Dude, I was that guy for 7.5 years as Stunning Steve Austin. I weren't having the lights out matches these high-level guys are now with the athletic ability and the way that they're, it's a lot of fast-forward stuff. I give them all the credit in the world for that. But I was a damn good mechanic in the ring, and everybody knew I could go. Okay, all of a sudden, the ringmaster sucks. I come up with the Stone Cold Steve Austin thing. It takes a while to manifest that character, discover what it was, go through the paces, and dude, you got to be there for a part of it. It was always a work in progress, and it was always learning grounds. And then all of a sudden, I was that guy, and every single time out, I learned something new, but I knew how to control a crowd. And that, when I came up with that character, I had the long hair, the receding hairline. Then I went to the short hair. In ECW, I was trying to grow it back up. When I got the call from WWF, Vince wanted me to come in with the changed look, so I did the buzz cut, inspired by Bruce Willis in Pulp Fiction. Then, as I was traveling down the road with Goldust, we was fixing to work Pittsburgh Mellon Arena, and I just said, I didn't even have facial hair yet. I said, F it. If my hair's a 1/4 inch long, it's blonde as hell, you can't see it anyway, I'm just going to shave my head. So anyway, all these things organically happened, but it was a process, Vince, of when I came up with that Stone Cold gimmick, I knew that it had to go somewhere, and it was based on a serial killer. But that is when I started making money. That's when I peaked at whatever it was, 98, right before my cervical surgery in 99, 2000. And those hot years were character-based things. Nobody gave a rat's ass how many flips I was going to do, how far I was going to fly across the ring. But when I got a dude in the corner, started stomping a mud hole in his ass, walking it dry, because there was a reason for that ass stomping, and I was pissed off against the system, and it was a great system and a great piece of writing, whether it was you or Bruce or Vince or whoever was doing it. It was character-based, bottom line.
Oh, and Steve, I remember, bro, like I swear to God, I can remember things. You talk about that character. I can remember the kick and stomp, because it was the facial. It was the facial, and you were kicking and stomping the shit out of the guy. Another thing that always stands out in my mind, and bro, I remember him doing this in his 40s when at TNA, when Kevin Nash would get the guy in the corner, and all of a sudden, bro, those big knees started coming. Bro, Kevin was in his 40s, and I was saying, holy, he's killing that guy, because the face and bro, I swear to God, Steve, have you ever seen, this is what I don't get. I put a lot of heat on the agent, Steve, because first of all, these young guys, bro, they're going to go out there to get the pop of the crowd. They want to get the 5 stars from Meltzer the next day. That's what they want. But there are supposed to be freaking agents there. There are supposed to be agents there bringing us back to what professional wrestling is. I put a lot of heat on the agents. Steve, I have never once see the guy back up, dive through the second rope, and have it not look like the guys were standing there catching them. It looks like that every time, Steve. I've seen it a million times, and a novice can see the guys are standing there catching them. And I say to myself, why do you keep doing this over and over and over again? It looks like shit. And that's why, bro, I'm like, who the freak is agenting these matches? The agents are supposed to be the old school guys that are, teaching them about psychology and when you're selling and your character in the ring. What the freak? Are there any agents left anymore? Or are these 26, 27, 28-year-old guys just calling their own spots?
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm just going from what I'm seeing, man. And just the business keeps speeding up. But, I mean, you can only speed up so much, dude. And when you're waiting for the this is awesome chant, and I don't know, man. It just seems like we used to work the crowd. There's only very few occasions do you see guys working the crowd anymore. It's going out there, okay, here's where they're going to come in, here's where they come in, and I don't know.
Yeah,
but again, to me, it goes back to being character-based. And, like they had Bray Wyatt, who was very intriguing there for a while, and the guy's got such a great voice and that southern drawl and the way he can just run his words together. And, they would just stick him out there just to cut promos because the guy could cut a promo. But then, too much of something is too much of something, and they killed him off. And so you had a guy in a prime position, and he could still be a guy in a prime position, but now you've got to restructure him, or you've got to reboot him, or just do something. But the kid's got to get some wins. Yeah. And he's got to slow down and put some commas, some periods, and some exclamation points in his work, rather than just all being a run-on list of physical things or going upside down in a turnbuckle. I'm a fan of the kid, but if you're going to make that guy a character, he's got to work as a character, and not everything can be funny. You can't laugh too much. But again, going back to that Matt Hardy match with him, I enjoyed that match. It was a gimmick match, and dude, I'm trying not to watch as a grizzled veteran of 30 years and of watching, or 40 years of watching wrestling, and go along for the ride. But when the ride's going too fast, and everybody's pantomiming looking at that effing WrestleMania sign. It's like, dude, I get it, okay? April the 8th right around the corner. But if I get one more guy, one more girl coming out there and pointing at that friggin' green sign, I get it. It's almost like, hello, McFly, do you not see that WrestleMania sign over?
Do you know, Steve, I know you have him on your show, and I know he hates me. And I don't hate these guys. I just think these guys are funny. But on Wade Keller's show the other day, this is an absolute shoot, bro. He was critiquing the way Nakamura pointed to the sign compared to John Cena, and he liked Nakamura's sign point better. And I'm like, are you guys freaking kidding me? Like, are you freaking kidding me? But, Steve, I want to tell you something, bro, because I saw this 10 years ago. The style of matches is what's killed the character. I'll tell you why, Steve. I saw it with my own eyes 10 years ago. 10 years ago when I was in TNA, all these young guys started to come up. The Young Bucks, were at TNA. Motor City Machine Guns, Sabin and Shelley. The young guys were coming up. And what I would notice, Steve, is I'd sit in the back, and here's what I'm seeing all day. They're walking around by themselves. They lay out the match and everything. Bro, they're walking around by themselves all day. This is what I'm seeing. Steve, here's the problem. And again, bro, where are the agents? Where are the producers? Here's the problem. Because of the style of the match today, they are so consumed with memorizing the spots. Bro, they're so consumed with memorizing the spots, the character goes out the window. Every character would sell differently. Every character would go on the offense differently. That's all part of the character. When you're memorizing spot for spot for spot, the first thing that goes out the window is the character. Now, all of a sudden, what you have is a roster full of wrestlers. And the only people that are going to tune into your show are 100% pure wrestling fans. You're not going to expand your audience because they don't like wrestling. All the people that we got to buy in for the characters and the story, the casual television fans. Bro, I know you're a big TV fan. I know you talk about Walking Dead all the time.
Dude, but they were into the soap opera.
Right, that's
when
why
you're
they're
moving
gone.
that fast.
They're gone.
And what you were doing, what Vince was doing when he says he sees wrestlers, he's making these hand signs of guys doing whirly signs because they're going to do this flip and that little flip or that little fly. And so they're trying to memorize everything. And so, yeah, as soon as you say that, Vince, yeah, the character starts to leave because you're all on, mechanical memorization of what I got to do next. Okay, let me go you one further on that. When you give a cat, whether it's a guy or girl, so many words to say, and you can see them trying to remember the promo, the first thing that leaves is the character, the character and the emotion, because they're trying to cut the promo verbatim per the writer, per whoever. And so then you start to see all these promos. Man, I felt bad. It was a couple of weeks ago. AJ Styles was out there, and I love AJ Styles. He's one of my favorite going, and I'm so proud of that guy for the success that he's had. He was out there with Renee, and he was telling people about what could happen during this different whatever match it was they had last month. There are multiple guys. He could be over here, and someone over here could be getting pinned doing this. And it was so many different scenarios, and it's like, dude, people don't talk like that. And so, AJ can cut a decent promo, but they gave him 20 pounds to put in a 10-pound bag, and it was just too much. And so all the good that they've created with AJ was lost on that promo just because it just floundered that bad. It was just like, no one talks like this. No one would lead you through. You can lead someone through a sequence of events. Just let him go out there and wing it, go over the sequence of events, and then just let him go out there and do them. And this is just not an indictment on AJ because, like I said, I'm a huge fan, but on pretty much the entire roster because they're trying to give those cats too much to say. And at the end of the day, going back to your match analyzation, it almost turns into a video game where it's the red guy versus the blue guy, and it's just movement this way and that way, and the emotion is gone. And if you don't have emotion, and the people have been conditioned now to go, this is awesome, this is awesome, this is awesome. Man, I don't know. Is it awesome? Steve, is it really?
Steve, the most confusing thing to me, and bro, like sometimes, like I don't know if Vince and Hunter and Shane, I don't know if they're too close to it and they're just not seeing what I'm seeing, because I think what I'm seeing is the obvious, and I don't understand their motivation. Here's what I'm talking about, bro. Wrestling used to do huge pay-per-view numbers. Bro. Then all of a sudden UFC comes along, a real fight, and they kind of take the pay-per-view market from the WWE, where the pay-per-view market is basically non-existent now. They've got their own network. UFC owns pay-per-view. But people, again, let's face it, if given a choice, okay, there's a WWE pay-per-view, there's a UFC pay-per-view. Which one am I going to pay for if I can only afford one? Guess what? I want to see the real fight. We know UFC is a real fight. Okay, here's the part that boggles my mind. If I know UFC is the real fight and people are going to pay money to see the real fight, why in God's name am I going to put the emphasis on the in-ring fake fight action in wrestling when people know it's a work? They know the fight is a work. Why am I going to put the emphasis there when they can go to UFC and see a real fight? I'm going to put the emphasis on the characters and the story, because we are entertainment. The fights have not real. I swear, Steve, I say over and over, I think a majority of these guys have somewhere along the lines convinced themselves that the fight is freaking real. And my thing is, listen, bro, if you don't want characters and you don't want storylines, then go out there and fight for real. I mean, literally, go out there and have a real freaking match. If you think you're real wrestlers, go out there and have a real match. And guess what, bro? That would draw. That would freaking draw. But I mean, if you're going to throw away the character and throw away the story and put the emphasis on the fake fight, you're only going to draw people that are interested in that. And that WWE pie keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Bro, they're making a shitload of money. I'm not saying that. They are a very successful business. But, bro, first of all, they're the only game in town. They better be making money. Second of all, how much money could they be making if they were doing this the correct way?
But going back to the Attitude Era, and I don't want to just say my era, because, it was like, Triple H says in an interview, it is kind of true to a degree. Everybody thinks that their generation was the best.
Yeah.
So I thought he had a good point there. But yeah, the Attitude Era was, as you said, at the beginning of or was it last night on your radio show, the Attitude Era was the most successful money-wise.
When you look at numbers, and absolutely.
In the history of the business.
Right.
Okay. And then if you go back to, my favorite stuff would be in the mid-'80s, whether it was NWA, Mid-South Power Pro by Bill Watts, and, the AWA when it was a powerhouse before everybody started leaving. But, man, everything was character-based. It was storyline-driven. Yeah, you want to go out there and you want your match to be good, but if you're not invested – in those characters and you believe in their cause or you believe in that person, that belt really means something, and you're just going through the motions, it just ain't the same old thing, dude, because you go back to WrestleMania 17 with myself and The Rock, or myself and Bret the Hitman Hart in WrestleMania 13. Both outstanding matches. We did nothing that any athlete couldn't do that's in the squared circle today. But because you were so invested and Bret was kind of starting to whine a little bit at that point, I was just talking shit, but it was so much good shit that people were starting to like me. I was starting to entertain them. We did a double turn. At 17, The Rock and I ended up turning heel. I should have never turned heel, but we took that, that crowd, Rock was white hot. I was white hot. The belt was on the line. The belt meant something because Stone Cold and The Rock, which the WWF built, and they built that angle, meant so much. Dude, that's why everybody jammed into the Astrodome. That's why millions of people bought the pay-per-view. And I just think that it needs to go back to character development and not so much about how many words they say, but how they say those words. Dude, because people don't just talk just in a monotone to deliver a message.
Nobody talks like wrestlers. I say that all the time. If a casual television fan came across wrestling, they would not be able to relate. Nobody talks like wrestlers. Steve, here's a perfect example. And I want to pick your brain on this because this is another thing I don't understand. The only thing I understand is laziness. Because it's not dollars and cents. They have the money. Steve, I will never forget this as long as I live, and I'll tell you why. After an entire day, Monday Night Raw, getting to the building at 12, everything that we had to freaking do. And I remember because Stephanie came on the shoot. That's why I remember me, you, Ferrara, The Rock. I'll never forget this, Steve. We go to that freaking bridge where you're throwing the belt over. Bro, I think that was the coldest night I ever experienced in my life. I was literally freezing my ass off that I just wanted to sit in a car, but Stephanie was there and Stephanie was outside because she's a McMahon. So I'm like, I can't have Stephanie outside. I'm sitting in the car like a little wuss. But bro, we froze our balls off after a show, bro. We're dead tired. You guys would have loved to go back to the hotel, go to sleep. We're out there on a bridge freezing our balls off. And I look at that, Steve, and I'm like, why don't they do that today? Is it laziness? Is it that they want to go home after the show? Why? It seems like every Monday night, bro, all these wrestlers show up at this building and all this shit happens. They never leave the effing building. How can you develop characters if they're not in other environments? And I sit back, and this is why I'm so critical, because you cannot give me an explanation for that other than freaking laziness. We did it, bro. We went the extra step. Even after hours, we got there before shows, bro. I took freaking Goldust and Marlena to the freaking Oscars, bro. We were at the Oscars on the red carpet. Why does that not happen today outside of laziness?
I don't think it's laziness. I think that they're so overloaded with work that that's all they can do is do the 3 hours of Raw, the 2 hours of SmackDown, and everything else that they're doing within the network. Dude, those guys are shooting so much content, it's unbelievable. The amount of work that goes into it is countless hours. So I know the passion's still there. I just think it's so much content, and because there's not WCW banging on the door, dude, the stakes aren't as high. I mean, you want the ratings to be, because I'm not crapping on the guys. I ain't crapping on the office, but the sense of urgency has changed, And it's a little flat line where it should always be, like you're watching an ECG monitor on someone's heart. Dude, you got to have spikes and ups and downs, and in a straight line. Come on, man.
Yeah,
but
Steve,
I think it's too much content.
Yeah, I got to tell you, bro, you talk about, I mean, I've seen everything in wrestling. You've seen everything in wrestling. When I think about the most memorable moment and how simple it was because of the characters in the story. And Steve, I got to tell you, I do not think the Attitude Era was the greatest era in wrestling. I say,
I don't either.
When you look at numbers, it was the highest rated television time.
Yeah.
When I go back, bro, I look at when Vince created like those first 3 WrestleMania years. The characters, bro, like everyone was a character. You knew them inside and out. I mean, it was clear. It was defined. And speaking of that time, bro, the very greatest moment, most impactful moment for me in my entire years of watching this was as simple as, bro, freaking Andre ripping that chain from Hulk's neck.
Love,
bro, that was it. Like, bro, it was like, are you to this day, bro? What was that, 32 years ago?
Yeah.
But that simple little thing, he just reached up and ripped that chain, and Hogan's face, it's that simple, bro. It's that simple when you have characters and story. It's that simple.
Wait a minute. Tell the folks what you're up to now. You told me a while ago you're a little bit disenchanted with the wrestling business these days. So you started doing a podcast about...
Yeah, Steve, this is funny but true. Yeah, bro, Steve, I'm like you. I want to make one thing perfectly clear. When I criticize the show, I'm criticizing the writing. I'm criticizing philosophy. Bro, the guys and girls in the ring work just as hard as you guys did during the Attitude Era.
Absolutely.
They work. I never say that they work just as hard, but I hate always being critical and saying the same thing over and over again. And it's like, I got to find something else to talk about. So I literally, bro, have been watching this show on MTV for the past 10 years called Teen Mom. It started when these girls were 16. Now they're 26, and there's all kinds of drama. Bro, you want to talk about characters and storyline? That's why the show draws me. There's drama, there's characters, there's fighting, there's storylines. And bro, it's on Monday night during Raw. As soon as it comes on, Raw goes bye-bye. I go right to Teen Mom and I DVR Raw. Okay? So I say to myself, you know what, bro? For shits and giggles, I'm going to do a Teen Mom podcast once a week. A 57-year-old man, bro. And I'm talking about 26-year-old women. I said, I'm going to do this for shits and giggles. So, bro, I go on there and I'm cutting the promos on every one of these characters. I mean, I'm doing Vince Russo, right? Bro, all of a sudden, one by one, these people start following me on Twitter. The people on the show. So I follow them back. Then it becomes a DM. Then they want to come on the show. And I'm like, bro, like I'm doing this for laughs, right? So, bro, I bring these 26-year-old girls on my show. Steve, the greatest thing is I freaking sit there and I just stir it. And they'll say anything, and they're burying the other cast members. And I'm just sitting back and I'm like, this is unbelievable. I had this one girl on my show that's the heel on one of the shows. Her name is Janelle. And bro, 500,000 downloads on PodcastOne we drew. So, like I said, bro, all of a sudden, all the cast members are coming on the show. Bro, when we did that Janelle interview, it was USA Today, E! Entertainment, Star, Us, Entertainment Tonight. It was all over the freaking place. And I'm like, my God, if this is what I got to do to entertain myself at 57 years old, what am I going to be doing at 60, bro?
Yeah, but it sounds like a lot of fun. I've
Steve,
tried to watch. Go ahead.
Steve, here's the best thing, Steve. Here's the best thing. I'm a Twitter guy because it's instant. I only use Twitter. Bro, all of a sudden I'm doing this Teen Mom and I'm seeing my followers go up. So then I'm like, who the freak is following me? So, bro, I start going through bro, they are all 16, 18-year-old girls. And, bro, they're cussing me out because I'm taking this one side. Bro, 16-year-old girls are cussing me out on Twitter. And I'm like, bro, I did this for the comedy relief, bro. Funny, bro.
Hey, well, when is the new podcast dropping? Because I know you're doing one 7 days a week. Hopefully they're taking care of you down there at Podcast One. When is that podcast dropping? When are your shows airing?
I do 7 days a week, bro. And the Teen Mom show actually drops on Saturday. Bro, we have a show on Sunday. Stevie Richards is a part of the show. It's the Conspiracy Horsemen. These guys get into all these conspiracies. It would blow your mind. That's on Sunday. And then, of course, we review Raw and SmackDown. And, you know, we have our other shows. We cover the news and all that stuff. But, yeah, bro, it's all on Podcast One. One thing, though, Steve, if I want to plug, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I have a show on the Realm Network, and it's everything on video, and you get everything a day early before you get it on Podcast One. Our most popular show is called Castrating the Marks, bro, and I just hammer these guys. And Steve, I don't hammer these guys. These guys hate me. They literally hate me. Bro, I do it for entertainment. I don't hate Dave Meltzer. I don't hate Wade Keller. I just think it's hysterical. But they take it so seriously that they hate me. But this show, Castrating the Marks, you can only get on the Realm Network. And right now, if you go to Russo's Brand free, russosbrand.com, you get your first month absolutely free. It costs you nothing. If you want to check it out, just sign up, russosbrand.com.
Hey, man, I wanted to get your opinion about the Brian Pillman promo. We got a chance to talk about that, get into a little bit of WWE stuff, and then talk about the teen moms. And it's good catching up with you again. I'm out here in Nevada right now with my nephew and my nieces, and we're about to go right into Carson City and hit a couple of antique shops. I needed to get a podcast done. I wanted to talk to someone about the Brian Pillman interview. I know you know your promos, you know your wrestling, and I always enjoy you because you're very opinionated and you ain't afraid to speak your mind. So it was good talking to you. I appreciate it. It was good being on your radio show last night, and good luck with the new podcast, and obviously continued success with Castrating the Marks.
Yeah, no, same to you, Steve. And anytime, bro, you know it's an honor for me to come on here and talk wrestling with you. And like, just one thing to add, bro, after seeing that Pillman, you know, you got to go back to, you know, you and Pillman at Pillman's house. Like, it just, man, what happened to that stuff, man? We were right there. I just don't know what happened to it, man.
I don't know. You know, some people thought that was crossing the line. To me, it was not. But that's me.
And 20 years ahead of its time, bro. Unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, man, good talking to you.
All right, Steve. Thanks a lot, my friend. Take care.
Hey, humans. David Smalley here from the Dogma Debate Podcast right here on Podcast One, where we talk about all the things you're not supposed to discuss at work: religion, politics, abortion, racism, slavery, and that's only when we open the Bible. We discuss Islam, Islamophobia. What does that even mean? We chat with vegans, animal rights activists, and even visit factory farms to see it for ourselves. I invite people from multiple backgrounds to convert me into their worldview. But as long as they're okay with being respectfully challenged, you better bring your evidence. And I never lose sight of how both the left and the right are seeming to lose their minds. So basically, we're solving all the world's problems right here on Dogma Debate. And you've been missing it. Download Dogma Debate on iTunes, Stitcher, or PodcastOne.com.
All right, everybody, give me the go-home cue. It's time to wrap up this podcast and ride off in the sunset. I want to thank my guest, Vince Russo, for being on the show today. I really appreciate it, and it was good visiting with you, shooting the breeze and getting your opinion on all things in the business of pro wrestling. I want to say thank you to all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show. That's how I'm able to do this podcast for you twice a week for free. And you can find all my sponsors at PodcastOne.com. Just click on the Killer Deals button at the top of the page and then click on the Steve Austin Show banner. Speaking of Podcast One, the new Podcast One app is now available for download at the App Store or Google Play. There ain't another podcast app like this one anywhere, and that's because the new Podcast One app is loaded with some cool-ass features that let you do a lot more than just listen to your favorite shows. You can access behind-the-scenes photos, articles, and connect with other fans of shows you like. And you can watch over 1,000 360 virtual reality videos. You can actually watch some of your favorite shows in virtual reality. It's like you're sitting right in a room with them. So get to the App Store, Google Play, and download the new Podcast One app now. Folks, if you want to follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Steve Austin BSR. Folks, until next time, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch you Raz down the road.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.